Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to go over sound. Real quick though, I want to go over cable management, right? So whenever we want to run cables, we always want to label everything, right? To an extent. But normally you would put the label on the connector. Sometimes you'd put it on the jacket. It's much cleaner to put it on the connector if you can. I mean, obviously some cables, say for example, like that, you can't really put tape here. So it depends on the cable. But no matter what you do, you want to put the tape on in a way where it has what's called a courtesy tab. So I just folded it over so that there's like a little piece that's not sticky, so that when it's time to strike, right, so when everything's all ready to leave, you just pull it right out, right? If you were to, wrap it around, either here or on this jacket, imagine trying to like peel away at like clear packing tape. You like dig your fingers in. That's what you're going to be doing with this, right? You'd be trying to dig it, and that's just a waste of time, right? So whenever you're, laying cable, whenever you're, labeling cable as well, it wants to be in a way where it's effective, but also easy to strike. So that's labeling. Obviously, both ends would be labeled in this case, but I'm just going to demonstrate how to tape down a cable. So say everything's labeled, ready to go. Your next step is to tape it all down or secure it, right? So say for example this is going across the stage, this end is maybe connected into something. So what I do, especially if I'm working alone, I'll put a little tab, right, a little tab, run it, try to keep the spacing pretty good, and then maybe every, 2 feet, give or take, depends on the surface, I'll put a tab, right? And this holds the cable in place. This gives me a little bit of room to change. Say I need to change something, I just gotta peel that up. Once it's like ready to go, then you come back, right? And to the best of your ability, you want to get the cable in the center of the tape, right? And you can always, you can always peel back a little bit, try again, move the cable a little bit, but you always want to try to get it centered. And then you go back, secure it all down, and now it's good, right? So imagine this is like on the ground. Light foot traffic, right? So not a lot of people, but enough to like secure it. Sometimes if, a lot of people are going, you might want to do the middle, and then you might do like an offset left and an offset right. If you have access to it, the cable trays or the yellow jackets from the cables class is a great use for that. But yeah, that's securing the cable, and then when it's time to strike, all you do is peel up the cable, and then as you go, you take the tape and you bundle it up. Now you want to avoid like ripping all the cable and then leaving all this tape on, because after a while it's gonna like fold on itself, and then it's gonna be a bitch and a half to get it apart. So as you're going along the cable to strike it, just take the tape off with it. And then throw this at your teammate. That's pretty much it. Next, we're going to go over the sound sort of systems. All right, so I have all the gear laid out already. Go through it really quick. Normally we would put this in a road case that has a rack mount, Right, you can see these tabs on the sides, those screw into the road case, and then everything's like nice and organized. For this demo, I'm not going to do that, but you probably get the idea. So we have a couple pieces of equipment. Here on the top, we have the power strip. Right now, I know I say power strip, and you're thinking this. This is like household power strip. You know, we still use them, but once you start getting into like the gear, you know, like sound equipment, some lighting equipment, things like that. Especially stuff that sits in a road case, you want to switch over to something that's a little bit more clean. The cables, you know, on these are much thicker. They're like gold-plated in most cases. The connections between the plugs and the wires are a lot more solid. So it's just a more like secure unit, right? Has a circuit breaker. This particular one, since it is rack-mounted, right, has a little work light. So imagine, you know, this is at the top of the rack mount, and then all the other stuff is below it. You know, the amplifier, and then some cases you might have like an EQ or playback, a DVR, you know, yada yada. But in this case, we just have the PD and the amp. Right. This is the amplifier. It's pretty simple. It just has the on-off button. Right. We have the console, right, or mixer. This is a analog mixer, right? They do make digital. Those are, you know, a lot more complex, right? Because it has everything electronically, right? Digital. A lot of digital consoles also have a lot of the other features built in. So imagine, you know, before I said like EQ, you know, DVR, playback. Some of the digital consoles actually have that built in. Most digital consoles are a lot bigger, but you kind of get it. Some of the like bigger digital consoles, you could set up like cues or like scenes, right? So say, you know, there's a scene change, and like everybody knows that these three actors are going to come on stage. You could actually hit like scene 3, and it'll make all the adjustments, turn on their microphones, all that, so that you're not like doing it manually on the fly, right? So with an analog console, you know, you'd have to adjust everyone's microphone as they enter on stage. Otherwise, you know, their microphone's always on, they're talking shit backstage, and it's going to fuck up the show. So with, you know, digital systems, or maybe an auxiliary system with an analog, you could set up like cues. Right. So over here, have the cables. We have the Y cable, right? So this is common. You'd find it to plug in like an iPod or MP3, cell phone for like music. We have some shorty XLRs, right? So 2 shorties. These go from the console into the amplifier, so they don't need to be, you know, long. They're just right next to each other. We have the speak on, right? Because the speakers we're using use speak on. Depending on the speaker you're using, you're gonna want to get the correct cable. You know, some would use XLR, or some would use speak on. And then here, I just have another XLR. This one's for the microphone, so it's, you know, in this case it's 25 feet. But yeah, and then the ICs, right? IEC. But this we use to plug in the console, right? So underneath here is where you plug in one of these, and then the amplifier as well uses one of those. So that's that. And then at the end of this table, just got a microphone. Pretty basic. So yeah, next step is I'm going to set all this up really quick, and then I'll sort of go through it step by step. See you soon.